بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين لا إله إلا هو وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون صدق الله العظيم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. This is my first video in the series which I'm starting, where I learn and share about the principles of Islamic finance. Now, to tell everyone of you first that I am not an expert in Islamic finance or in finance, and I'm not an expert in anything, honestly. Why am I starting this channel? Why am I starting this series? Hopefully I'll make a video about that inshallah later. But today and in this video and for the next few 7 to 8 videos, I'll focus on this series, and hopefully I'll make a video about who I am and why am I doing what am I doing. In our first series of the principles of Islamic finance, the first principle of Islamic finance is justice. The ayah which I read to you was the ayah of Surah An-Nahl, 16th surah, and the ayah was 90, the 90th surah. In the surah, Allah commands us to do justice. And if you're familiar with the religion of Islam, you must be familiar with this term justice, because Allah is the most just and He loves justice, and He commands us to do justice in everything we do, not just in finance. In Surah Al-Rahman, I'm reminded, Allah commands, Allah that go mizan, correct your scales. The mizan, what's mizan? Mizan is a sense of justice. So Allah commands us to do justice, have a sense of justice, and not just finance, in everything we do. In literally everything we do, every part of our life should have justice in it. Doesn't matter who we are dealing with, doesn't matter what's happening in our life, what is our situation. Every one of us know that whatever we are doing, there is a right way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. And for us to decide that yes, I will do it in the right way, that's justice. It's really simple. That's justice. Doing things in the right way, treating people in the right way, and helping people, all of these things are under the umbrella of justice only. In this ayah, like I said, Allah commands us to do justice. So, moving on with our first series, which is, what is the first principle of Islamic finance? That's justice. Why is it that so many people feel trapped in debt while banks continue to thrive? I'm reminded that I was watching this live stream from New York, Manhattan, and there I saw the building of JP Morgan Chase, a massive billion-dollar building in the central of Manhattan. And which makes me think that all these banks, Banks of America, Bank of America, JP Morgan Chase, and the banks around the globe, especially the banks around the globe. How is it that people are trapped in debt? America is in debt. America is in debt of trillions of dollars, and on the other side, you see these banks getting richer and richer. How does that work? How is that working for any one of us? How is it that the people who are keeping their money in the bank are in debt, and the bank who doesn't own the money is getting richer and richer and richer every single day? How is that working in society? If there is justice, trillions of dollars in debt, and you see these institutions constructing buildings that cost billions of dollars. Subhanallah. All the hidden fees, compounding interest, and unfair contract leaves ordinary families struggling. You must have signed some contracts or loans with these banks, and you might have seen those fine printed lines where you can't even read what's written over there. But you have to sign it because that's a made up only way to go with these institutions. In really simple terms, think of justice in finance is like weighing fruits. Just if you sell a kilo of apple, then you sell 1 kilo of apple. You don't give your customer 800 grams of apple, then hide stones underneath and sell it to them. That's not justice. If you are taking the money from someone, I'm reminded of this thing which happened with me a couple of years ago, I guess. I went to buy some apples only from a nearby market, and I am not good at buying vegetables and fruits till this day. I saw those apples you might have seen where they have stickers on the apple, making them portraying them as premium apples. So I thought that this apple has stickers. These apple has stickers, so they must be of good quality. I bought them. When I came home, I removed the stickers, and right exactly at the place where the sticker were placed, it was rotten. It was bad. And it didn't happen with a single apple. Every single apple had a sticker, and after I removed the sticker, the apple was bad at that exact place. And for every sane person, he understands this is not justice. The Prophet ﷺ established a marketplace in Medina where monopolies were forbidden. When the Prophet ﷺ established a market in Medina, you couldn't have monopolies in that market. You couldn't be a king of market. The market is for everyone. It's not for a single person to control the prices, to manipulate the prices, to hoard the stocks to increase the prices. All of these dirty things which happen in our society, they were all forbidden during the time of our Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam. Moving on. Just to tell you guys that this is my first video in this series. I'm not so professional in video making, so I ask your pardon. I apologize to you for any unprofessionalism which you see in this video. Because honestly, I am not an expert in anything, let alone finance and in Islamic finance. I just share with you people what I learn. That's that's the simplest way I can put things forward. So, what does justice look like in a financial dealing today? In a day-to-day life, what does justice look like, or what does justice should look like in our day-to-day life? Number one, fair exchange. Prices reflect real value. Whatever you are buying, for whatever amount of money, that the price should reflect the value. You couldn't be buying air for thousands of dollars. I'm reminded of this guy who came on the Australian Shark Tank. He was selling some kind of pen-like product, and he was selling that this pen has some positive ions in it, and people have to suck in the air that was in that product, and he was trying to do a multi-billion-dollar business with this product. You cannot sell air for thousands of dollars. You cannot do that. If you're selling a product, your product must reflect the value. It should have value in it. Imagine you're buying a basket of mangoes from a farmer. A fair exchange means the farmer sells you mangoes that are fresh, ripe, and worth the price you pay. You, as the buyer, gets the fruit you wanted at a value that matches its quality. If you're paying $50 for a kilogram of mangoes, those 1 kilo of mangoes should be representing the value of $50. Those mangoes couldn't be worth just $10, $20, and the farmer cannot sell those $20 of mangoes, the mangoes which are worth $20 in $50 amount. That's not justice. Can't do that in Islamic finance. As clear as that. Neither side feels cheated. The buyer enjoys the fruit and the farmer earns the just return. The price you're paying for the mango should reflect the value of the mango, so that the farmer gets the money he worked for. Of course, the farmer the farmer put his effort, time, and risk in growing the mangoes, so he has the right to earn money, but he cannot earn magical amount of money with it. That's how I can say that. That's the only word that came into my mind. Magical. And another example of this is, imagine renting a home. If you're renting a home, and especially if you're living in New York or America, most of the people over there, the immigrants, are living in rented homes. So imagine renting a home, a flat, a couple room. A fair exchange means the tenant pays the rent that matches the quality and location of that house. You couldn't be paying for a hut-like structure in Long Island and paying the amount of money that has the value of a penthouse in the middle of Manhattan. Can't be doing that. You cannot be asking $5,000 for a 200 square feet of room. That is totally unfair. And as you might know that America right now is struggling with the housing crisis because of this thing only. The houses pricing, all these mortgage loans and everything you do, everything you see, Why do you think that is happening? Unfair prices. The property doesn't has the value of the amount that is being asked. I mean, uh, I'm reminded of this guy, this advocate, who was telling something about New York, where the New York government or the New York contractors were asking uh, $5 million to build one public toilet in New York. If you have ever been to New York, you might notice that there are not many public toilets around the city. So when this talk was going on that let's build some public toilets for public, the amount of money which was presented, the cost of building one toilet, one public toilet, was $5 million. $5 million for one public toilet. $5 million. Really? Does that one public toilet has that value of $5 million? These are the things which come under fair exchange. The product should reflect the value, and you can only ask the money which is worth the product. You cannot be asking unimaginable amounts of money for, like I said, air. You cannot ask thousands of dollars for air. Moving on. By the way, this principle which I just told you, the fair exchange principle, which comes under justice only, the principle of justice, is called the principle of equivalence and reciprocity for those of you who are studying for academics or university style studies. our next our next principle in our day-to-day life is rights and duties. The rights and duties are clear. If you are in finance, imagine a football team in a match where each player knows its position. This person is the goalkeeper, this person is the attacker, this person is this person is that. Everyone knows their position, everyone is positioned accordingly, fairly, according to their capabilities, their abilities, their strength, and their weaknesses. How do you think that team is going to perform? Hopefully, exponentially. That's what right and duties are. To put this thing into a more real life example, picture a family hiring a caterer for wedding. The agreement states clearly the caterer will provide food for 200 guests. Imagine a family or a person hired a caterer that we are going to have a party or a wedding or anything, and we want you to prepare food for 200 guests. Now, and the prices were set and the agreement was done. The menu was selected, the timing was decided, everything was set. If the if the caterer secretly plans to serve fewer dish, if the caterer starts planning on cutting cost or increasing his profits in some dirty ways, and then explaining to the person who hired him that the guest ate a lot of food. I prepared everything finally. But then actually, he didn't prepare the food for 200 people, he prepared the food for 195 people. That's not justice. And on the other hand, if the caterer is doing his job finely, but the family is expecting the caterer to do his job more than that was set. If the family, if the menu was selected for 5 items, but the family keep asking for more items or a better quality that the price reflect. Both sides have to be careful about the rights and duties. That's what rights and duties are. If you're doing any dealing, or if you're making any deal, in advance, make sure that the rights and duties are already set. This are the things which you are going to do, and these are the things which you can expect from me. No more than that, no less than that. That's what the principle of right and duties are. You must have noticed this thing with or might have noticed this thing with your employers, where employers pay you your salary, but for an example, if your employer is paying you $5,000 for any job, but in return, what do they expect from you? If we are giving him $5,000, he should be doing work. We should extract him or use him to work for at least $25,000. I mean, hopefully, I'm able to make you understand what I'm saying. That in employment, the employer gives you this much amount of money and expect you to do the work. That's this much. That's what right and duties really are. You cannot be asking more. You cannot be expecting less. You can't be giving less. Everything has to be just. Our next principle under the principle of justice is rest is shared. Imagine two friends opening a small bakery. There were two friends who opened a small bakery. One invests money and the other invests time and skills. There were two friends. They planned to open a bakery. One said, "I have money. I'll give you money. I'll invest money and I'll invest money in this business." Other said, "I don't have money, but I have time and skills, so I'll give that." If the bakery succeeds, they both share the profit according to what they agreed beforehand. If it struggles, they both share the losses. One loses part of his investment, the one who paid money, and the other loses the value of his efforts who put in time and his skills. They're both losing. That's justice. Risk is carried together. But if the investor demands guaranteed profit, the person who is paying the money in the business, he start demanding that I am the one who is giving you the money. I'm the one who is investing money in this thing, in this business. I want guaranteed profit despite of the sales. That is going against the principle of shared risk. That is unjust. You agreed upon this. The risk is going to be shared. You are investing money. I'm investing time and skills. That's it. If we succeed, we both succeed. If we lose, we both lose. That's one other principle of our. That's one more principle under the principle of justice in Islamic finance. Another principle is market conduct. Now, what is market conduct? That market conduct should be clean. There should be no hoarding, no false bidding, or no manipulation. What do I mean by this? I think we are having some noise in the background. a school cafeteria at lunchtime. The food is placed openly and every student gets their turn to buy. If one student secretly hides the tray of sandwiches to resell later at the higher price or pretend to bid for food just to raise the prices for others, the whole system becomes unfair. That's what hoarding is. What hoarding actually is, when you are holding when you are holding a commodity, when you are stopping a commodity from reaching the market so that you can increase the prices, manipulate the market because you are a monopoly or you are a big player in the market for that food or for that commodity or for that product. That's what market conduct is. You cannot hold the product, the commodity, the service, or anything in order to increase the prices, manipulate the market, and disturb the lives of common man or woman, common human beings. That's what market conduct is. That the market conduct should be clean. That's one of the principles. Another example for you to understand this thing properly, if you might not have understood, is imagine a neighborhood with a shared water tank. There is a neighborhood, there are two neighborhoods sharing one single water tank. If one a family secretly stores extra water in barrel to resell it later, or pretend there is a shortage to raise the prices, everyone else suffer because of one family. Because of one family, the, the whole two neighborhoods are suffering because of their greed, because of one family. That's what clean conduct or clean market conduct means. If you are in market, because of your greed, you cannot affect the lives of common people. If you want to earn money in a legitimate way. You cannot be doing these dirty things or dirty works to earn money. I'm reminded of this thing, another thing which happened in New York only, uh, where during the time of COVID and during some immigration crisis which was going on in New York, a company, uh, because there was COVID, so the normal process of giving contracts to the contractors was dismissed, and some random company was given a contract. The contract was worth, if I am not wrong, it was something around 379 or 49 million, somewhere close to around 400 millions. Uh, that company was given the contract to buy the hotels, buy the hotel rooms, buy the hotel rooms for the people who are stuck during the time of COVID, and those of the people who are having an immigration problem, where these people don't have a place to stay. So the government passed a bill where it gave this random company who doesn't has much of the experience. I did know the name of that company, but uh, I am not able to remember it right now. So the government of New York, the state government of New York, issued this contract, gave this contract to this random company who doesn't has much experience, because there was an emergency going during the time of COVID, and this company was given somewhere around $400 million. What happened after that? We found out that the majority of the rooms were empty. No one was staying in those rooms. There was no accountability of where did the money go. how was the money spent. Although now I'm able to realize that this example is not really reflecting the thing which I was talking about, market conduct. It's not this thing which happened in New York is not really reflecting what I was talking about, market conduct, but it is one of the example of injustice which happens in society, where because you have connections in the government, you can have millions of dollars of contract and do whatever you want without accountability. $400 million of the taxpayers' money went into air. No accountability. Now they are saying that they are doing some investigation which keeps on happening. I don't know when will these investigation come to an end. Another thing, another really important principles, and I hope that I will try to end this video now, because if I continue, this video will be very long. Our last principle under the principle of justice in Islamic finance is transparency. You have to be transparent in your transaction. If you are in the market, if you are anywhere and you are in some financial dealings, you have to be transparent. You cannot be hiding things. You cannot be hiding knowledge. You cannot be hiding information just because you want to earn more money. You cannot do that. And all these reasons which I am giving you, these are the very reasons people hate Islam so much. Not the common people, but those 1% in the society. Because these principles, when they say that we won't let Sharia law come into existence, this is one of the biggest reasons why they don't want Sharia law to come into effect in society. Because if these things will start coming into effect, people can't do dirty work in the society. The examples which I'm giving you are small, but the examples which I am giving you are small based on my understanding and your understanding. But these topics are way broader than these. They are unimaginable amount of injustice being done under these very topics. Market conducts, holding the commodity, not letting the product reach the market. Why? So that I can raise the prices. I'm reminded of this guy who was standing near my house only during the time of COVID only, where he was shouting in front of standing in the road only, talking to someone and saying him, this is the time to earn money. Come on, let's earn money. During the time of COVID, when people were having difficulties, he was saying to this guy, come on, man, this is the time to earn money. Let's earn money. Literally, people are dying, business are shut, and rather than trying to help people, you're trying to manipulate and use people for your greed. That's all what you have in you. I know there are a lot of background voices coming here, especially my neighbor's hen doing his choir. So, our last principle under the principle of justice is transparent. You have to be transparent. Imagine visiting a doctor. Imagine visiting a doctor. If the doctor clearly explains the medicine, its dosage, the possible side effects, you feel safe and informed. That's transparent. But if the doctor hides the risk or gives vague instruction, the patient is left vulnerable. If you go to a doctor and doctors start hiding things from you, you start feeling if if you have no knowledge about the medical science, you will just agree on the doctor's condition. But if you have some knowledge, I am sure you will start feeling uncomfortable with that doctor, and you will surely see and should see a new doctor. Another very common example of this principle is, think of packaged food. If the label clearly lists the ingredients, expiry date, and nutrition facts, you know exactly what you're consuming. But if the label hides allergens or misstates the content, it becomes dangerous and unjust, which I hope that many of us are familiar with this thing. That's what transparency means. You have to be transparent if you are in finance. These were some of the principles which come under the principle of justice, which is one of the principle of Islamic finance. I hope to make the second part of this video because I have more things to tell you. Diagnosing injustice, how do we spot injustice in our society? I have those things. And also I have remedies, like practical steps, what we can do to implement justice in our society. And I also have an action checklist, a takeaways for you people, and I hope I'll make a part 2 video about this topic only, inshallah, and I'll deliver this information for you guys. Until then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And also, if no, nothing. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.